Just recently, there's an article about a creature called Basilosaurus. Basilosaurus means king lizard, originally classified as a reptile. This article suggested that they have found the fossils of a creature that has front legs and hind legs, and they claim that it's related to mammals, even to whales. To make that claim it was related to a whale or mammals, they referred back to an article published in 1839. That was the only claim, the only support for the idea that this thing was related to a whale. Actually, I am convinced it's nothing but a reptile. Evolutionists are so desperately searching for some hint, some indication. You see, of intermediate form, they are grasping for straws. Well, we see there are no intermediate forms in that case. Here's another rather unusual creature, the duck-billed platypus. Now, there's a real puzzler for evolutionists. You know, they don't know what to do with that creature. He is a mammal. These creatures are mammals. They're warm-blooded. The mother produces milk for the babies. They have hair. They have the characteristics of mammals. And yet, they have duck bills, web feet, and lay eggs. And they have the shoulder girdle of a reptile. And they have spurs on the hind legs, similar poisonous spurs, similar to other reptiles. So they have characteristics of mammals, reptiles, and birds. What are you going to do with a creature like that? You see, he's not a fit ancestor for anything, nor could he be an offspring for anything. They just don't know what to do with the duck-billed platypus. As a matter of fact, the first specimen sent to England from Australia, the English scientists thought that those Australians were pulling their leg, that they had taken parts of 3 different creatures, stitched them together, and were trying to fool those English scientists. No, he's a real creature. And I imagine God is sitting up there laughing at some of these evolutionists as they try to puzzle, what in the world are we going to do with the duck-billed platypus? Certainly, you see, God created that creature just the way that we find him, and is therefore is the evidence that we'd expect, or could expect from creation, but certainly not on the basis of evolution theory. Now, flight should provide a remarkable test case of creation versus evolution. Because you see, flight occurs in 4 different classes of animals. It occurs in the flying insects, it occurs in birds, it occurs in the flying mammals or bats, and it did occur in the flying reptiles now extinct. So we have 4 different times, according to evolutionists, during which this evolution occurred, from some land animal gradually changing into a flying animal. Of course, each process supposedly took place over millions of years of time, producing an enormous number of transitional forms. So we have multiplied opportunities, you see, to find these transitional forms. And flight then should provide solid evidence for evolution, if evolution is true. On the other hand, if creation is true, we'd expect each one of these flying creatures to appear as flying creatures, with no evidence, you see, that they had gradually evolved from some land animal. Well, we want to take a look, first of all, at the flying insect. Here we see a dragonfly, one of the flying insects. Evolutionists believe that the dragonflies evolved, perhaps 400 million years ago. And here we see one of the fossils of a dragonfly. This fossil is supposed to be 380 million years old, according to evolution. A fossil dragonfly. Well, again, the dragonfly, and then the fossil. What do we have? We have a dragonfly. You see, essentially the same as the modern dragonfly. We found many fossils of flying insects in the fossil record, sometimes very nearly perfectly preserved. Then we find fossils of the non-flying insects. Here's a fossil ant captured in amber, supposedly several tens of millions of years old. And what is he? He's an ant, you see. And they found fossils of many other non-flying insects. They found fossils of mites, spiders, daddy long legs, centipedes, and things like that. And these scientists said they're supposed to be about 350 million years old. And they said that those creatures were so perfectly preserved, it looks like they just died yesterday. Well, frankly, I believe yesterday is closer to the truth than 350 million years. But nevertheless, they postulate that these fossil insects, 350 million years old. And they found fossils of cockroaches believed to be more than 350 million years old, and they said they looked disgustingly similar to modern cockroaches. And they found fossils of pseudoscorpions. Now, pseudoscorpions are scorpions, or they look like scorpions, only they don't have a stinger. So they're called pseudoscorpion. We have many species of pseudoscorpions today, and previously in the fossil record, they'd found fossils of pseudoscorpions they believed to be about 35 million years old. That's their claim. Recently, they found fossils of pseudoscorpions they believed to be 390 million years old. And they were remarkably similar to modern pseudoscorpions. And some of these creatures, some of these fossils, the most delicate structures were preserved. Spinnerets on the spiders and things like that, preserved there in the fossils. It's hard to imagine how anything could be preserved for more than 300 million years, that delicate, you see. But that's what they claim. Now, in other words, we have many fossils of non-flying insects. We have many fossils of flying insects. But I'll tell you one thing we do not have is a fossil of an intermediate form. You know, evolutionists argue among themselves, what is it on the non-flying insect that evolved into wings? Why do they quarrel? Why do they have the controversy? Because we have never found one single transitional form. In one of the papers on this subject, the scientist said, now this argument will have to be settled by the future discovery of some intermediate form. Not one intermediate has ever been found. You have non-flying insects, you have flying insects, but not one single intermediate. Isn't that strange? Well, not strange at all, you see, if God created those creatures, but very strange, unexpected from the evolutionist point of view.